Hi everyone, I'm Mike and this is the Sunday Art Show. This week I'm going to take you through a vibrant, loose line and wash painting using watercolor and a Sharpie marker pen of a little animal called the Uinta ground squirrel. So this is actually part of the animal alphabet challenge, and I was struggling to find an animal beginning with U. So this is the best I could come up with. And I'm starting out with A4 mixed media paper and my black Sharpie marker pen. And as you can see, this is the reference photo from Pixabay of the little creature. So he's settled on the ground. I've actually changed the pose a little bit. I've curled the tail round to the side of the body. And what I've already done is just put in a loose outline, capturing the main forms of the animal. And now I'm taking a little bit more care with the shape of the eye. And you can see I filled in most of that, leaving just a little highlight, and currently working on the ear. And the way I'm working here is I'm trying to do the minimum amount of line work that I can get away with, basically, because I want to do most of the expressiveness with the painting. Now, having got the basic outline and the main features in, I'm now using a range of different marks to create some shadow and some tone to help make the sketch look more three-dimensional. So I'm using a variety of hash marks. You can see I've put a few dots up around the nose already, and I'm changing the angle of those hash marks as well. And then when we come down to the rear end of the animal and the tail, look how big and loose the marks are because the fur is longer there. So there's quite a lot you can do, even with a Sharpie, different styles of mark making to convey different things. And I've deliberately positioned the animal here so that the head is kind of in the top right, and the tail is deliberately just slightly wandered off the edge of the paper. And I like doing that when I'm painting animals because, it's rare an animal in reality would kind of sit exactly in frame. So there's the completed sketch. And as I mentioned, this is part of the Animal Alphabet Challenge. So if you have a minute to go to my website, look at the Animal Alphabet Challenge collection, and you can see I'm working my way through the alphabet, challenging myself to do a range of different animals, some of which I'm doing with Sharpie drawings, and then some of which I'm doing, like this one, with added colour, added watercolour. And I plan to colour them all eventually. So I've just started off here, taping the paper to my drawing board. I'm using a water brush at the moment, and a very watery mix of kind of a neutral green I've mixed up with ultramarine and cadmium yellow and a little bit of alizarin crimson. And now switch to a pointed water brush, and you can see I'm just teasing out the edges of those pools of water to more or less create a semi-abstract background which begins to suggest some foliage or some plant growth. I don't mind too much what's going on in the background. I just want to give this little guy a setting to occupy. Now I've switched to cobalt blue and my big synthetic mop brush. So the water brushes are good, but the mop brush is probably my favourite. Nice strong point, but carries loads of water. Put a nice wash of cobalt blue over the animal to define light and dark straight away. And now I've mixed in some alizarin crimson to create this beautiful violet. And while that underlying blue is still wet, I'm deepening the shadows in some areas. And this is one of the great joys of watercolour, where you get that automatic intermingling of wet washes. So the blending and the kind of granulation you get has already started to happen. Now, the reason I chose the blue and the violet is some of the shadows on the photograph, there were little hints of blue and violet in there. You can see I've added some of those to the foreground as well. But now I'm coming in with a warmer colour, a mid-brown. And if I feel that's gone on too heavy, absolutely fine, just lift a little bit off, with your fingertips. Next, I need to darken some of the shadows further. So I've switched from cobalt blue to ultramarine blue now. And again, popped in some alizarin crimson and possibly a little bit of burnt umber. And that's going to give me a nice, deep, yet still vibrant shadow colour. And again, I'm getting some of that beautiful blending going on. There are also some subtle, warm, yellow, almost yellowish highlights on the front of the animal's chest. So I'm putting on pure cadmium yellow here. But again, it went on a little heavy, so I'm lifting some of that off with a paper towel. A quick sweep of cadmium yellow in the foreground. A touch of pure cobalt blue on the top of the head. and then some ultramarine and cadmium yellow created green down by the rear end of the animal, just to give a little bit of a deeper shadow there. And there's our little Uinta ground squirrel, complete. Vibrant, bright, nice and loose. I really enjoyed creating this little line and wash painting of this little animal. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe. And I hope to see you next Sunday for the next episode of the Sunday Art Show. Thanks very much for watching.